I'm Matt Martelli. This is the Off-Road Racer Podcast. I'm here with my longtime friend, Rick Geiser. Rick, thanks for coming down.
Yeah, no problem, buddy. No problem.
Little drive from Arizona.
Yeah,
right?
well, I didn't come just to see you, Matt. Yeah. So it's all about work and play and having a good time. But anyway, but yeah, glad to be here. Sorry it took so long.
No, it's all
I know
good.
you've been like, hey, you got to come over here, and I'm like, dude, it's a long way. I got work to do, but this is glad we can squeeze it in and spend some time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny because I have this audio file that we did a few years back in San Felipe that we started to translate into an article, but we were never able to chase down all the photos. And I'm like, man, we had a really good, we had some really good stories that trip. So that was
Good
really
stuff.
cool.
Yep. Good
So,
stuff.
we were just talking about it. Everybody knows the Geiser brand, you and your brother, and what you've built. I mean, just a legacy. If you stop now, you know what I mean? You have a legacy. I know you're not stopping now.
Yeah, no, I can't stop. It's still too deep.
Yeah. But, I got to talk to you about your your beginnings and how you guys got to the point of where you were building, really the most dominant trophy truck platform in history still today.
Yeah.
Talk about where you got started in off-road racing.
Well, it started out with, when we were kids as bicycles. And then we did bicycles. We did motorcycles. We got into Honda Odysseys. If, a lot of people probably don't know what a Honda Odyssey is.
I remember them.
And then we got
Little
into
death
the
traps.
FL 350s. And then we got into the pilots. And then we raced a little bit of Mickey Thompson and the Super Lights, which was pretty much a glorified. Well, today it's a UTV today, single seater. And then, the market crashed in whatever, 08, 98, maybe 99.
Yeah. First time. Yeah.
First crash. Brother Jeff, said we need to build a truck. We raced buggies. We built buggies, we prepped buggies, we didn't really do much with truck stuff. And, it was like, in 99, we built the truggy for Herder. And 99? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And then, so it was like, we got to build a truck. So, we beat our heads together and we come up with a pretty good platform, which really is that truck still races. Cameron still races it.
01.
He still has 01.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is crazy.
Original OG. It was like something, all the factory teams at 90, whatever, mid 90s, Robbie Gordon built his own truck. Walker built their own. Toyota built their own. Ford, you had multiple people building them, and Venable and, the Mike Smith and, all the people that built the, let's say, original trophy trucks. But nobody could call and buy a trophy truck.
Or a part.
Yeah, that was like team specific. You couldn't look at them. I remember Robbie when he built that, the truck that Riviera has now, he come and it had a car cover clear to the ground. You couldn't even look underneath it till the day of the race, And so we're like, we got to build something that people can either, afford, or we can, have it for everybody. So I think that opened up the world of anybody can buy a trophy truck,
Right.
and go race. I remember there was, we built the truggy and we showed up, and Gus Vildosola comes up and he's like, I don't care how much it costs. I want the next one. So from that point, it was just like, what do we do? I think we screwed up. Now we got a lot of work maybe. And so it was, we'd win a race, and, there wasn't all the trophy trucks out there. Some people race, there wasn't a lot of them. How about that?
Yeah.
So finally it ended up, other people were catching on and building trucks, but we're happy with what we did in the day, and we're, I think we're on number 93 right now.
93. That's crazy.
93 race trucks.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's been a crazy run. Never would have ever thought,
But even going back to kind of the beginning, were you guys, you and your brother, were you working at other people's shops? Like, how did you get the knowledge base that to get to that point? Because it wasn't like there's no school,
really
or there's no internet even back then, right?
Yeah, no, that was back when they just made dirt.
Right.
Mainly was really just doing it. Jeff worked for Walker Evans for a little bit. A car fell on me and smashed me in 94 maybe. So he had quit Walker's and come to, like, I had a house, small house, and we were prepping cars in the backyard on carpet with easy up awnings and winning championships. And he came and, I had 10 cars probably there at that one point. So he had to work on them because I was cross-eyed and couldn't really work. Took about 6 months before I really got stable enough where I could walk around, and because when it fell on me, it broke my skull from ear to ear.
Wow.
And so damaged some nerves and stuff like that. So anyway, so he came from Walker's and said, I sort of remember it too. It's like, okay, so I'm coming to work for you. And I'm going, okay, all right. I need $400 a week to survive, and I wouldn't be here without what he's done, still today. So it's, he mainly builds stuff and I run the show.
Right.
So where we learned from was a little bit from Walker's, a little bit from trial and error, a little bit from, I owned a couple shops of engine building. I did motors, and we did, but mainly it's just like looking and trying to do our own thing.
Yeah, self-taught.
So it's like we built a couple pre-runners at first, and then we're like, don't do that. And we changed the front end, we changed the back end, but for the most part, the back of the truck has all stayed the same. The new G6 is a little bit different, but mainly trial and error. Of course, people that we knew that had good, John Herder was really good. He's still really good. He had a lot of car feel that said, hey, this thing doesn't turn, or it doesn't stop, or it doesn't. So that helped a lot.
Right.
And then, of course, Gus with his that, they raced that truck, I think 10 years or maybe more.
Yeah.
I think they won the Baja 1000 with it and they retired it. So it's, but I think we had a lot of good people in the day.
Yeah, I mean,
driving them, racing them.
That was what's interesting to me about your story is like, you guys had this kind of more well-rounded knowledge base, and having driven quite a few trophy trucks, I remember getting into one of yours and going like, man, this is easy. It was very comfortable. It was very stable. Like it was unlike any other really off-road vehicle that I had driven at the time. Right. And I think that, that was, I'm guessing that was because you guys had a more well-rounded knowledge base versus, like Robbie, for example, like driving that mid-engine truck that he built was scary as shit. It comes together around 80 miles an hour.
Yep.
And you have to you
got to hit it.
Yeah, you got to hit it. You got to throw the thing around. And then there's speeds and things that it does better than other trucks.
Sure. Yeah.
But at speed, up until that point.
Yeah, and only he could drive it at that truck.
I agree. Like only he wasn't scared of it.
Sure. Yeah.
But you guys sold, not just a lot of trucks, but every race was winning. Cause I remember, being a part of the McMillan program, and we were working on, we were using a Robbie truck, and just you guys, every race was okay. Another Geiser win, another Geiser win, another Geiser win. And I just, I didn't really know anything, but I was like, hey, why don't we get one of those trucks and start there? Right.
Yeah.
And they eventually did. And Andy went on his
he
legendary
10 overalls in a row and championships.
Well, I mean, what was that like for you and your brother? Like you get to a point where it's like, you were the truck that everybody not just wanted. It was like people just were like, oh, you need a Geiser.
Yeah.
What was that like for you?
It was good. At one point, I was like, we were doing, our shop's fairly small. We're still in the same shop.
Right.
But it was like, we're building 4 trucks at once, like literally like an assembly line. They were all a little bit different, and it was, just the crazy world of we got to do more and more and more, but we got to keep up the quality because it can't be going downhill. Right. Then the bad part is we couldn't keep up on parts. People would call on a set of A-arms, and it's like, take them off of that truck right there,
right,
and ship them to the guy.
Right.
Now we're caught up. Now it's like, we're waiting for, I think business all evolves together. So if you don't stick with it, then it all goes bad, So in my world, we couldn't get parts, CNC parts.
Right.
Like I'm making it up, but the motor plates. So it's like, what? I just got to buy CNC machines.
Right.
So now we of course have a whole bunch of those, and we build every part today. But before it was, I need a motor plate to finish this car, and I don't have one. So more of the trying to keep up with stuff today, really.
Sure.
So, but it was so exciting. Yes, we would go to the race and hope that we won, and it was whatever first through 5
right.
were our trucks.
Yeah, there were 20 of them in the field.
Yeah,
right?
we pretty much had our odds were against not against us, but whatever
for you, yeah,
for us,
yeah.
It was like we didn't go there with nice clean clothes going, we're going to win this race. We went there hoping and making sure that everybody was happy and to make it happen. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, you guys have always been humble, even in your success, but, as you got success, what were the things like you're talking about, supply chain issues? What were the other things that you had to overcome? Chasing.
Yeah, it was support. Another thing we did was support. So you can imagine these people that own them, let's just say 50% of them were racers.
Right.
20% of them were fun people, and 30% were people wanting to race or whatever. So you got a guy that doesn't want to work on it, doesn't have a team, doesn't have a facility, doesn't have workers, doesn't want any of that. And so we pretty much do all of it still to this day of some people, like I say, the RPM guys, Clyde and Justin, were a big part, for a long time.
Yeah.
They want nothing to do with any of that.
Right.
They've never had the trucks. They've never seen the trucks. They never drove their chase trucks. They've never, it's mainly just like, we're going to fly in, we race, and we fly home. Have a good day.
Well, it's funny because, I try and explain this to people all the time of like, you can buy the truck and you can buy the chase trucks, right? And you can even have all the people, but you don't have the racecraft, right?
Yep.
And just knowing like just stupid little things like, hey, you need to make sure you have, these tools in this truck, in this part of like, especially in Baja, because if this goes wrong,
what do you do?
Yeah.
Yep.
No, and
you're stuck.
I remember going through that with you guys, with GNR. And you guys, really taking them from zero to top competitors,
Talk about that was Garen and Ron.
Yeah.
Funny that what started that, just real quick, was Garen came in to buy a tool bag for his buggy. And he come in and he's like, "What are these?" We're like, "Oh, they're trophy trucks, And he's like, he pulled in a Cadillac Escalade, shiny shoes and good kid. And he's like, "I just need a tool bag. How much is it?" What, $40 or something. "Okay, here you go. Can I look at this stuff?" "Yeah." And I hear him outside. He walked around the shop and I hear him outside. And he's like, talking to Ron. He's like, "You are not going to believe this. You have to come over and check out this shop. Check out these trucks." And it was on a speakerphone.
Right.
He's like, I'm not coming over there."
Right.
Well, the next day they both came back over there.
Yeah.
And they're like, "How much are they?" And at that point they were, making up numbers, 300, 350 something.
Right.
And Ron was like, "Let's go. We ain't doing none of this." And it wasn't, but 2-3 months later, they bought a whole team.
Yeah.
Semi, the whole deal. We built them new trucks. We built them pre-runners. We built them, so it was but same thing. Like you said, it's a crazy how it all, works out, so.
Yeah, but it was interesting because that's precisely the point is like, if you don't have those types of people will not come into our sport.
Sure.
Right. Because, putting all the pieces together to go racing is too difficult.
It's large.
Yep.
It's for me, of course, I try to be in the middle of everything and I probably shouldn't be, but it's like, last night I'm still up with the map for the 1,000 next week.
Right.
Going, do I got people? Do I got support and, who's chasing, who's going in what truck and where the trucks are, the chase truck's just as important as the race car.
And the people
or
in
the
them.
people,
Yeah.
in the pitting and the fueling and the tire changing is not in today's world, the race, just like down in Baja, that it was 20, I think, Ampudia beat Toby by 20-something seconds.
Yeah, which is crazy.
It's literally a pit stop.
Yeah, it was a flat tire,
world.
I think, that got him.
Or a flat, right? Or however it works. But today's world, everybody's going so fast and so has such a strong infrastructure to the pitting, to the timing, to the stuff like that. That's pretty big on everything. So putting that together is just as big as the guy driving the car.
Both you and your brother raced.
Yep.
And I think your brother is still racing, right?
Yeah, he still does.
Yeah.
He still drives.
And then, so do you think that gave you guys, an additional advantage as builders?
I believe 100%.
Yeah.
And mainly was and working on the cars.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we need to make this easier to get the tranny out because we're going to probably be replacing a tranny.
Right.
How do we make that, the thought process of, you get some people that have other trucks that in the day, maybe not today, but that just go like, man, my truck is so hard to get the motor out. We got to take the heads off and take they don't, but I'm just saying that as a thing, but it's, but racing them and driving them and, being comfortable and stuff like that is a big part of, I believe in our business.
Sure.
Was a big part in producing all the trucks that we did.
Do you is that why, in that, the platform that you built, why it was so well balanced and easy to drive?
I believe so. Yeah. And a lot of people, like you said, tell us that your truck is very forgiving. Yeah. They're reliable. They're heavy duty. They're thinking, they do what you want them to do.
Right.
So I believe that part of that is, maybe just us being involved in the whole thing. And the first car was never in the day, like you said, of CAD work and computer and internet and all that stuff. Those cars, the first I say the first 20 cars probably were all hand cut.
Yeah.
Every bracket was either plasma cut with a plasma or sanded or bandsawed or something.
Yeah.
You know,
using templates. And,
the A-arms, yeah, we used to have, you know, paper templates that we laid on metal and traced it out and bandsawed it.
Yeah.
Plasma cut it and then sand it. It used to take us, the one main rack plate, I call it, of the bulkhead. I remember Jeff, it would take him probably a day to build a couple of them. And of course the holes were a little crooked and, you know, stuff like that. But today, you know, they cost like $18 to have them cut.
right.
And we got a stack of them.
Yeah.
And they're all perfect.
Yeah.
You know, the holes line up and the hole sizes are right. And, you know, where we're you know, everything now in today's world is a puzzle.
Yeah.
You know, you buy once it's all engineered and once it's all CAD drawn and you know, you have that part laser cut.
Yeah. And
and
it's in stock.
Yeah.
It's
and
not
it's like we got five cars ready to build.
Yeah. It's not like, a decade ago where it was like you ordered an A-arm and it might be months before you get it.
It was like, I remember A-arms used to take pretty much like a day to build one. And
right.
another day or two to weld one.
Right.
You know, today it's like my guys, if you need to put them together in like 2 hours.
Right.
Or you're probably not that guy.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah, which is crazy. You know, obviously you've won pretty much all the races as far as I know, right?
Yeah,
I don't think there's a race that you guys haven't won. But was there one that you won that you were like, okay, shit, we've made it?
I don't know that there was just one, but you know, of course, Baja 1000, any of them you win is like really, really good.
Yeah.
You know, you go to the Mint 400 and you win the Mint 400, that's iconic.
Yeah.
You know, you go to Parker. I think all of them, looking back, is like every win was good.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know that it was like I did the most best race that I think was good was, of course, I was driving.
Yep.
In the remember Mark Ewing, the Riot guys.
Yep. Oh yeah.
So he was overseas and he was stuck over there because of a volcano, maybe.
Okay. Yep.
And he called and said, "Hey, I might need you to drive my truck, or at least maybe qualify." It was Silver State.
Yep.
And Jason Voss's truck burnt to the ground.
Okay, I remember that. Yep.
So it was that race.
Yeah.
And he was winning, and I was second.
Right.
Pulled in the finish line, and I think there was, I won.
Right.
But I think there was like 6 or 8 more Geiser trucks behind me.
Right.
So first through, you know, whatever, 10.
All your customers.
First through 8, yeah, pretty much. You know, it was a cool picture and a cool, you know, thing, but it was not that we said, "Oh, we made it," but I think every win is good.
Well, I think too, like knowing your story and knowing that, like, literally, you know, you started this in your backyard,
Yep.
and then evolving to, you know, not just the most dominant trophy truck builder, but to put it into context, like what you were talking about before with it, which is, you know, the era that you started racing in was factory teams, and they had millions of dollars and a lot of resources, right?
Yep.
Teams of engineers, like a lot of resources, right? You know, and here 2 guys who, you know, basically have no engineering background.
Nope.
Nobody's
Never went
backing.
to school.
Yeah,
Never went to school.
Yeah, nobody's backing you up, going, "Hey, let's just keep trying this."
Sure.
And you guys built, you know, what became the marquee trophy truck company, you know, off-road racing trophy truck company, and then everybody was like, "Okay, we want to be like them, right?
I want to be a winner."
And like when you look at it now and you go, "Okay, cool, it's you guys, it's Herps, it's Mason, you know, Racer, Brenthal, you know what I mean? Like, you guys were the first."
I believe we were.
Yeah.
Well, I think we started the tradition of you could build your own and still beat these factory guys, you know?
Well, it's an interesting thing to talk about because the factory guys started to go away, right?
Yep, correct.
And that really hurt off-road racing, right? Because a lot of people kind of looked at it and went, well, why aren't the factories involved, right? And I remember being a kid and being like, man, like, is off-road racing done? You know, is it Mickey, you know, and then Mickey gets killed.
Yeah.
And I just remember it being like, oh man, you know, like,
it's done.
Is this going to be around at all?
Yeah.
You know, and then seeing it, the resilience of it, and then it really, I think it became stronger because of that, because instead of it being an investment by 4 or 5 companies, it was all these business people who had made a couple bucks. You know, and who were passionate about it, and who were like, "Yeah, I'm going with my friends and my family." Like, I'll never forget the experience that I had with the GNR guys and being around, you know, their whole clan.
Cheeseburger.
Yeah, Cheeseburger. Like, I spent a lot of time with Cheeseburger, right? In chase
He
trucks.
still works for me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, he's an amazing kid.
Yeah.
You know, all of him.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there's less of them now than there used to be.
There's half of him now.
Yeah.
He's only a half a person now.
But yeah, well, it's funny when a guy that big goes, yeah, my name's Cheeseburger. You're like,
he said that I named him that.
Really?
When he was 8 years old.
That's crazy.
You know, and I've known him since he was a little kid, and I don't know that I named him that, but he says I did.
That's funny.
So I probably ruined his life.
I don't know. He's gone on some serious adventures because he, like, the pre-run and the Baja 1000 that we damn near won with GNR. Like, we were there on the beach when the transmission broke. Right, because it had a crack and was leaking. We were leading by
the rear diff.
You're right.
Rear diff.
We were like leading by a lot,
like 30 minutes or more.
Garen had just handed it to Todd Duke. So it was like we were like, okay,
we're going.
Yeah, Garen was great, but we weren't. We were like, okay, that he'd been in the truck for like 700 miles, I think, 600
something like
miles.
that. Yeah, down San Ignacio.
Yeah,
or maybe further. I don't remember.
I think it was right at Loretto where they changed.
You're right.
Right.
Yep.
Because I just remember that there's a funny point where you hit in Loretto where like you've been chasing all day, all night, and you're good. Like, you're pretty good, right?
Yeah, sure. The amp is still there.
Yeah, but then when that first sun comes up, when you're coming out of Loretto,
starts going bad.
Oh man, you start yawning and you start getting tunnel vision, and you're like, we still got a half a day to go. You know?
Yep. We do it every year.
Yeah.
It's we don't try to kill ourselves.
Yeah.
At the Baja 1000 for any of my guys anymore.
Yeah.
We used to do from the start to the finish.
Yeah.
You know, now it's like, hey, you're only going from here to here.
Yeah.
And you're only going from here to here.
Yeah.
And you know, all the pit guys, you know, go down days before and enjoy their stuff, and you know, we're not everything is stationary.
Yeah.
So we're not trying to. We've messed up there a couple times of chasing, and hey, we got fuel in this truck. We're gonna make it to this pit, and you know, then we didn't make it.
Yeah.
So that's not good. So.
Yeah. So you know, the logistics, you know, especially in Baja, and in America, it's much easier because mostly loop races. Vegas to Reno is a little tricky, right? You know, that's a little bit of a challenge. You got to do a lot of driving, and because you're going through areas with a lot of speed traps.
Yeah.
I think we make give those towns the most revenue they've ever made.
Oh yeah,
in speeding tickets alone, right?
Funny you say that. You know, we're talking about GNR, and at the drivers' meeting, you know, the cops are there.
Yeah.
Saying, we're going to be in this area. We're going to be in this area. Don't speed. You know? Okay, yeah. I'm in the GNR chase truck chasing Ron or Garen, and I get pulled over. Right. You know, and it wasn't the cop that said that, but he ended up letting me go. Yeah. But it was you know, you need to slow down. Yeah. And not like we were going really fast, but of course we all, I don't know, it's always a race. How about that?
You can't help yourself.
No.
You know?
No.
I remember the very first time I chased that race. It was for Kurt LeDuc. And there was
that was back in the day.
Yeah. It was a while ago. But I was driving. It was one of the volunteers clapped out chase truck. It was like his daily.
It wasn't even a chase truck.
No, it was his daily construction truck, right? They'd taken the rebar
The
off
craftsman in the back.
Yeah, they'd taken the rebar off of it.
Sure.
Right? And like I had never driven.
Put a dump can in the back.
Yeah, I didn't know where I was going. That was pre cell phone GPS stuff. It was like, and I kept second guessing the map. I'm like, okay, I know we need to go 200 miles this way, but if I screw the turn up, I'm going to end up in Colorado or something.
Yeah, we're done. Or Valley.
But I remember there was a part where, you're running alongside the road and you can look over and see the race trucks off to the left, and it's a long flat straightaway, and they just look like spaceships. They look like rockets. And so like I'm not paying attention to how fast we're going. I think I had it matted all the way, and
keeping up with the truck over here.
It's doing the death wobble, and I'm like watching. And I'm like, oh, this is so cool. This is so cool.
Yep.
And right at that moment, some wild horses were right in between us, and I'm like, this is like a Budweiser commercial. This is unbelievable. And like shortly after,
you didn't have a cell phone to take a picture.
No. Shortly after that, I think I was trying to drive and shoot video, which didn't turn out right, and I don't recommend. But like I'm in that moment, and all of a sudden, boo, and I'm like, oh man,
Busted.
And the guy was actually really cool to pull me over. He's like, is this your truck? I'm like, no. He's like, well, whose truck is it? And I go,
I don't know.
Hold on. It's Fred Hampton's. And they're like, well, why are you driving it? And I'm like, well, we're chasing. That's our guy. And he's like, all right, slow down. See you later.
Yeah, like, we get that too of whose truck you in?
Yeah.
I don't know. And well, the trailer doesn't even match the truck. Yeah, right. I know that.
Oh,
I know that. Yeah. Well, why are you driving it? Well, this is what we do,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a crazy of all. We got so many memories of back in the day.
Yeah.
Not so much today because it's so easy for other people.
Yeah.
Today. But, we had no GPSs. We had no cell phones. We had a map.
Tracking.
We had a map. Does anybody know what a map looks like?
Yeah.
Like a fold-out map?
Yeah.
Or the map from the race that we didn't have a printer.
Yeah.
So you had to, like, get the map and draw it on it.
Yeah.
It
was crazy because I remember meeting guys who, worked for different teams who could figure out where people were at. And I was like, this guy's a wizard. How does he know he's there? And he was doing some time deduction in his head. And
it must have been Toyota.
Yeah. Well, this was McMillan's.
Oh.
And, actually, I remember the guy, Ron Stacy. He was a great guy, but he was so good at he'd been down there so much. He was so good at like, yeah, right now, Andy's probably doing this, blah blah.
Oh, wow.
And there was at that point there was no GPS. We would just get radio comms, right?
Sure.
And working off of time splits.
Yep.
So lots changed.
Yep. Oh, 100%. It's like a now it's like sort of where everybody is.
Yeah.
It's not like in the day when I raced, if you had a radio, you were, on a good team. If you had a chase truck, you were on a good team. If you had a, on and on going down the road, but it was all play it by ear or go on Weatherman and go, hey, where's car, 42,
right?
Whatever the number was.
And they would get a call from the last checkpoint.
Yeah. Yep. And go, well, they went through that checkpoint at 8:00 last night. Well, it's 2 a.m. They should have already been here.
Yeah. And
you just sit and wait.
Yeah.
But today is like, logistics wise is a lot, simpler, easier, but look at how much faster we're going.
It's crazy, right?
And how many more people are doing it and how many more, and more and more and more, so it's off-road racing is still going up.
Yeah. It's a really interesting time period because obviously now, four-wheel drive trucks have become the thing, particularly for Mexico, but also in the U.S.
Yep.
And you guys had a lot of experience early on with 4-wheel drive.
Yep.
And, talk a little bit about the 4-wheel drive platform that you guys are building and back it up to your history with it, because Robbie just raced, this truck.
We can't compare that with nothing.
No, I know, but it's an interesting truck. And I remember like you telling me about it. And I'm like,
there's no way.
You're doing what?
Mm-hmm. Well, so started out 16, 15, somewhere around there. We built Justin Matney a new all-wheel drive. Herp's built one 10 years before that.
Yep.
It worked and it did its job, and we built the new all-wheel drive, the same platform we have as in the older truck. Let's call it a G2.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, this is what we need to build. We built it, and it was really good. It was the only all-wheel drive, so, we had an advantage in the day.
Right.
We won a couple championships. We won a handful of races, and, we built a couple more of them. And then Clyde, Stacy, RPM, he called me one night. I think it was like 10 o'clock my time, which would be midnight or later his time. He's like, hey, you got a minute? And I'm like, yeah, what's up? Everything okay? Yeah. I was just thinking, I want to build a truck with 2 engines. And I'm like, sure, Clyde, we'll do that. We'll do that. Let's talk about it later. And, so give me a couple days, and I call him back, and I says, okay, what are you really thinking? He's like, these engines cost a lot of money. The transmissions cost a lot of money. If we put 2 engines in it that were like less expensive, say 500 horsepower front and rear, we'd have 1,000 horsepower. That's more than we got, and we can buy them all day long. So I say, yeah, let's do it. Send me some money. So he sends me money. I buy 2 engines. This is before we really had a CAD guy.
Right.
I buy 2 LS engines. I get 2 mock-up transmissions. I'm like, set them on a pallet in front of my toolbox. They're there for probably a week or 2. And I'm messing with them, and I'm measuring some stuff. And Brother Jeff comes up. He's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, you don't want to know. He's like, whatever. So he goes on, and I'm going to say maybe a month later, when some more parts showed up and the front diff showed up and a couple things showed up, and he's like, what are you doing? And I says, we're building a truck with 2 engines. He's like, no, we are not. We're not. That's the stupidest thing that we could. Why are you even thinking that? I go, well, Clyde said he wanted. Tell Clyde, that ain't happening. And I said, well, there's a problem. He already gave me a bunch of money. I told him he'd do it. He goes, he builds. So Jeff, again, builds every truck. He built every chassis. He doesn't do a lot of welding anymore. He doesn't do a lot of the stuff anymore, but he's the main fabricator, let's call it, or engineer, or however you want to say it. So I said, he goes, I'm not building it. I said, well, you sort of have to. He's like, I'm not building it. I'm not touching it. It's the stupidest thing ever. It's going to ruin our name. It's going to ruin everything. We're not doing it. So I said, well, I need you to build, once he cooled down a little bit, maybe a day or week or something later, I said, I just need you to build the chassis, leave the whole inside off of it, out, no tubes in the middle. Like, that's the stupidest thing ever, and blah, blah. He did build that car.
Right.
To that point. And then I had another guy that worked for me that pretty much built the whole car, me and him. More him than me. And by the time we got that car, like, on the ground, close, that guy quit. In the middle of that, it ended up no LS motors. We put 2 diesels in it that were turbocharged, little V6 diesels. Jeff ended up finishing the truck, and it wouldn't move. You push the gas, it literally would not go nowhere. So then we were like changing gearing, changing torque converters. We finally got it to go through the parking lot, finally. And quick story. Twin turboed them, supercharged them. We couldn't get them reliable because we were putting 50 to 70 pounds of boost into them, and they were just little stock engines, and we blew everything, the heads off, the manifolds off, the bottom end out. So Clyde's like, I really want to race. So I said, the only way is we're going to put the LSs in it. So we took all that out. We put LSs in it, went to the Baja 1000, went all the way to the bottom, 50 miles from the finish, and the gearbox on the front drive sheared the bolts off and didn't have front drive. So Clyde said that the transmission burned up and he's stuck, and he had some guys pull him out, and they drove it down the highway to the house and parked it where we could have fixed it, finished its first race. And we go on the next year when Legends came out. We won the next 2 years of the Legends trophy truck in score with that truck. And so now we have Robbie and Max that we call back and forth and talk, and, we got to get Clyde and Justin racing again. And how do we do it? And how do we, so we're talking, and Clyde's like, let's go race a twin. Robbie's going to drive. And I'm like, oh, shoot. I don't know if it's going to hold up.
It's not Robbie proof.
I don't know if it's not Robbie proof. When he drove our truck, 5-10 years before that, the Truggy, and won every race and quick qualifier, and on and on in Best in Desert, and loved it, and we had a good time.
Right.
Where before that was sort of a rivalry of Robbie and Geiser, and
sure,
as Robbie, he's
well, he in that he wanted to sell trucks.
Yeah.
But he was, I think at the time was still doing some NASCAR stuff, and he couldn't focus on one thing, which is Robbie, right?
Yep. Yeah. So anyway, it ended up that he come and drove that truck, and the relationship's been great. Literally talking and all the time, and hey, your truck is good, and people were asking, hey, why don't Robbie just race your truck instead of his? And I'm going, well, he's got his whatever. I want to win in my truck, which is only fair.
Yeah.
But when Clyde said we're racing the twin, I'm like, oh shoot, we got to really look it over. We go to San Felipe, and we have the part of the steering bolt sheared off and broke. So we didn't go very far. So they're like, the truck's good. It's crazy. Let's go see how to do it in the 500. And we're doing really good. We lost a belt. Max couldn't get the belt back on. Then we end up getting run off the road. And so, but they're excited about, the 400, and they're like, we can run up front with it.
That's crazy. So when you were building that truck and having the problems with it going forward, was that just because the truck was too heavy?
No, not really. It was just, comparing it to a regular 2-wheel drive or regular 4-wheel drive, everything is completely different. The gearing, the torque converters, the electronics in that car from Danzio. It has Danzio LS motors in it. Mm-hmm. Just 525 horsepower motors. Nothing out of control.
Right.
But the electronics is each engine has its own electronics. It talks to another computer that has the traction control, the gas pedal, the to make the car. It doesn't know if it's going forward or backwards or left or right.
Right.
It's just it's a crazy piece, and it's heavy.
Yeah.
And it's got a lot of busyness going on. It's one of our old trucks.
Right.
We do have a new all-wheel drive that we've been testing, and
tell us about that.
So we come out with a new truck, a G6.
Yep.
3-4 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
Comparing it, we took our old truck, and we took everybody that had our old truck, and it's like, what do you like about this? What can we make better? And what can we Rob Mack and Andy McMillan in the day, and all the people that have had our trucks, and said, what do we do to make it better? So we for 10 years or whatever longer, maybe, I just had notes.
Yep.
a folder that I just put new truck info. And then we sat down and had Corey, Jeff's kid, is really good with CAD. And we're like, we want to build a new truck. And here's your menu. This is what we want. And he drew everything. Amazing kid that's just has that. We talked about earlier of some people have it, some people don't.
Sure.
So he is a kid that, of course, grew up in it.
Yeah.
And his dad's really, really good. His uncle is way better than his dad, but no, it's but Corey has it. He's a kid that has a lot of knowledge, and he's self-taught.
Right.
Every bit of it. And he drew that whole car, and now we've taken that car and we've produced it into all-wheel drive.
Right.
So front engine, G6 platform, comparing to the old one, more wheel travel, portals, better parts, as of today, bigger, you got to have bigger motors.
Yep.
Bigger, everything is moving forward. Everything is a bigger motor. Yeah. That's the key to fix everything. Not really, but I'm just saying that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to go faster, you need a bigger motor. You want to go, tear up more stuff, bigger motor.
Right.
So it's sort of like a, however it works. But we've got about 500 miles on it.
Yeah.
Mostly really, really good. We haven't really, the guy that owns it and has been testing it with us.
Yeah. And that's Beal, right?
Yeah, Steve O'Beal, the Sendero guys, and then my nephew Sean. Yeah. And they've funded to design it and build it and keep it. We'll keep it in our shop to maintain it for this year and make sure that it's good. So we should have it out pretty quick, hopefully at a race. From what we know and us driving it like before and stuff, we feel that it's very competitive. It's very good. It's very fast. It's quick. It's, does all of it checks all the boxes. How about that? Right. Mason, of course, has the all-wheel drive. Everybody's that's really good. Sure. Has a Mason. Yep. Just like in the day, everybody that was good had a Geiser. Right. So those people are going to be really, really hard to beat. Yeah. Number one, because they're really good. Number two is they got good equipment. Yeah. And number three, they got a really good, programs. Yeah. So to beat them is going to be really hard, but we're up for the challenge and, try to be up front. Yeah. It's interesting because we're at a point now where it's almost like, spec truck, right? It's there's, however many Masons out there's some shared knowledge, right? Yep. But I think what was interesting is, and granted, it's Rob Mack, right? Yep. Rob Mack, you give him a 16 car, yep, and he'll beat the 10 cars. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yep. And but for them to get a third, at San Felipe, I thought that was really remarkable. Really good. That's a race that breaks everything. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So I think that showed that it is that right now they're the dominant platform, but I think that really showed hey, wait a second, it's definitely possible. And, and there's, again, it's not like back in the day where the factory teams would have so much proprietary information that you're I don't even know what they're doing. We're screwed. I don't know how to get there. Yep. Where do we get that equipment? I mean, I remember, the only people you had to go back to NASCAR teams to get stuff CNC'd because there wasn't nothing. Yeah, there wasn't anybody out here who had one. Especially they weren't going to waste time with an off-road part. No, right? Even like Jesse Jones, we built Jesse a lot of trucks. Yeah, he did really good guy. Yeah. He had a aerospace machine shop. Yeah, before we even thought of machining parts. Yeah, it's hey, we need a simple part, a body washer. Right. Okay, a body washer, my machine makes them in, I think 20 or 30 seconds.
Right.
You can make 1,000 of them in a day. I need body washers. They're for your truck.
Right.
Can't build them.
Right.
You know, it's not, I would rather pay you $5 each than shut off a machine and program this and do that.
Sure.
You know, so in the day, it was like, I don't think he built any parts for an off-road car.
Yeah.
In the day that he was racing and doing all the stuff with us,
Right.
It was like, I would rather, you know, he didn't have any money. He was barely scraping by. Mm-hmm. And so he would rather spend the money to me than to build it himself in-house.
Yeah.
You know? Or build them parts.
Yeah, because he'd have to change his production line.
It's all, he's building parts that who knows what, you know, what they go on or where they're at, or, you know, that part cost. I mean, I remember down there one time, it was like $10,000 for this little part. And his guys, they were all scrapped. And he grabbed one and like threw it across the table, and he goes, "This is everybody's Christmas bonus."
Yeah.
And he, you know,
Totally.
and I'm like, So that one part was, you know, that I would think, you know, couldn't be but $1,000 today, maybe a little more, but it's an aerospace part.
Well, the tolerance in aerospace
Costs 10 times more.
Yeah.
You know, better machining, better time, better, you know, whatever. But so yeah, it's you know, but the craziness of today is we build everything in-house.
Yeah.
Sean, my nephew, has a big shop, and he does all of our laser cutting and bending and, you know, some of the sheet metal parts and tabs and all that stuff. But pretty much everything else, you know, we machine right in-house. On the new truck, you know, we built all the, you know, bracketry, all the, you know, the portals to the A-arms to the, you know, all the stuff to make it all go.
Right.
So it's, but we're excited about that. The next level.
Yeah.
You know, moving forward. So, and we have other trucks. We got 3 or 4 other trucks that are in the works, building and, you know, for up and coming people. So
That's good. You know, I was going to ask you about family. Like, you know, it's funny because now your nieces and nephews are in the business, right? Yep. What's that like for you to have family? I mean, like it's kind of a funny thing. Like I see this happen where, you know, you and your brother are clearly passionate about this, because there's a point where, like, you know, you're not making, you know, but, you know, barely a living in the beginning of it. And you're kind of like, man, this is, you know, every day, every weekend, you know, countless hours. And so you have to be passionate about it. Right. Yep. But then you kind of like, you know, you break through and then you become, you know, the dominant player in truck builders. Yep. And, you know, you obviously you have all the next generation. You're like, man, I'll see how they turn out. But you know, now you have a whole group of the next generation of Geisers who are really into it.
Yep.
What's that like for you?
Oh, I think we messed them up. You know, they could have did something different and had a happy life. Yeah. You know, but we're really happy. Yeah. Yeah, Jeff has Lindsay and Corey and Race, and then I have 3 girls. Yeah. And my wife Randy, and everybody's happy. Yeah. You know, it's a lot of hours. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of away time. Sure. But it's this is what we do, you know. Yeah, absolutely. So it's and I think leading up to it is like we didn't know how this would all, you know, play out. Right. I guess did we go into this going, you know what, we're going to spend all of our time and all of our money and build trucks, and you know, that's how we're gonna go till we die, you know. But it's we don't have a retirement plan. We don't have this is what we do, and this is what we do, you know.
Yeah, I was trying to explain to somebody the other day. They're like, "Oh, being a promoter, isn't it stressful? Isn't it this and all this kind of stuff?" And I said, "Yeah, but if I wasn't on the promoter side, I'd be at this race as a spectator or racer.
Yeah,
right?
you'd be doing it anyway.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's interesting to see, the next generation of Geisers, not only be into it but be good at it.
Yeah.
Driving, be good at building cars.
Yep.
I think that's really cool. So for you, I mean, what do you, what drives you now? Because I think that the success that you guys had, I don't know, like even with Mason, like I think they need another 10 years of winning races to catch that, the record. Do you have a count of how many races you won?
I think I do. Yeah. We've written it down. I don't know exactly. It's not like we've won a lot of races.
Yeah.
Not a whole bunch of championships, but a lot of championships also.
Yeah.
With in different, you say Andy McMillan was really good for us. From coming from from a different couple of trucks to ours. And I remember testing with Andy. I drive every truck first.
Right.
So of course I'm nervous. This kid is really good.
Yep.
I show up with the biggest, really McMillans are probably the biggest, longest, best team ever.
Yeah.
Would you say?
Yeah. I mean, in terms of like
generations winning.
Yeah.
Up front, from Corky to Mark and Scott to the kids to the
it's really funny. I was talking about this the other day of like when Andy became so dominant, then I automatically started thinking like, man, like who's going to be next? Because I really, I was friends with Dan and Luke and they're good, but at that point they hadn't gotten
They weren't that good yet.
But they hadn't gotten serious, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't see Luke coming, I didn't, because
I saw Luke when he drove the Tisco truck at like the 1,000 one year.
Yeah.
And he was right up front. And I'm like, oh, shoot, this is good. He's in my truck and, blah, blah, blah. And I don't remember what happened, but at that point it was, they were all, what I'm saying is the McMillan group is a really good, like from the top to the bottom.
100%.
Today.
Yeah.
Or up to today.
And I agree with Luke getting in the truck because it was like one of these things where like, we'd gone through this whole relationship with Robbie and banging our heads against the wall. And, I had gotten a pre-run with Andy and see, his talent very close up. And, he was special. I mean, he was, literally raised from a baby,
right into it.
And what still to me, what's most remarkable about Andy is like, when he's in the truck, he's calm. He's going through this, this exercise of violence of off-road racing, right? And this chaos. And like, what that's like when you're in the 100%. Truck, you're like, whoa, like, what is that sound? And like, there's just, sounds like stuff's breaking and rock and engine. And
hear that noise,
stuff's flying by you. And especially like, the weird thing is the mental part of it of like your mind starts playing tricks on you. You know what 100%. I mean? Especially the longer races, you're just like, what was that? It's like you got to keep your mind out of panic mode, right? And it's hard because you get tired and things go wrong and you got to problem solve in the moment. But like I remember pre-running with Andy and we're going up around Mike's and he's sliding sideways around blind corners and I'm totally freaked out, right?
Hanging on.
And I just like I remember the moment too, like very clearly. It was like slow motion. And I remember just like looking over and looking at Andy and he's just like,
he's just chill.
La 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 la, like smiling and and I'm like, okay, either this kid is the most badass driver in the world or we're about to die. And he doesn't know
we're
it.
on the edge, and maybe he doesn't even know that.
And we weren't. It was totally fine, you know, and like we got that section of the pre-run done, and you know, we're going really fast. And, you know, I was like, if that's how you're pre-running,
how do you race through here?
Yeah. So, but I think that his dominance, that, you know, that streak that he went on, I think that really, you know, proved not just him, but it proved the platform, you know, and even before
100%.
that, you guys were winning. Everybody was winning with your truck, but that was a really cool.
That put it all together.
Yeah.
And that was, like you said, what was the best part about it was probably all of, number one, all of it. Yeah. Number two is streaks of people.
Yeah.
Jones never won a race. We did him trucks, a new truck and blah, blah, blah. We won every race.
Yeah.
You know, and then Bryce Minzy, you know, you could take the 10 names, Vildosa, Menzies, you know, McMillan, Jones, GNR.
Yep.
You know, I know I'm forgetting them.
Well, there's a bunch more.
It's a handful, you know, there's plenty of them that it wasn't just one set of people, but different moments, you know, putting it together. But when I took Andy's truck to test, you know, I said, hey, I drive it first. You ride with me. Mm-hmm. He's like, sure, no problem. You ride with me after. So I drive it, and he's like, he gets out and he tells his dad, truck is really good. So then I got in with him. Placer City, it's their backyard.
Yeah.
I am literally probably going 50% of what they're going. And like you said, you were hanging on, but you were okay with it. And Andy was coming down the side of the road where I know 50 people have crashed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we're gonna crash. We're literally gonna ruin this brand new truck. And it was like he was in this lane to that lane to that lane to this lane. And I think we went, if you timed it from beginning to end, he did it twice as fast as me, you know? But that was a good thing on our part and made us feel really good of, you know, if this kid is happy with it right out of the box. And really most of them today, like, you know, in our day or our time and Mason's time, they can build a truck. They put this spring on it. They put this shock package. They put this on it. They put this much fuel in it. They check these 5 things. They got a truck that can probably go to the starting line and win the race.
Right.
You know, in the day we took, I just telling a guy that was riding with me down to the 500, I go, right here, we unloaded a brand new truck. We went to Chassis Dyno. I drove it around the shop. We unloaded Jones's truck right here at this spot on the highway. We drove 20-something miles into town. We drove to Contingency. We drove back to the house, or back to the hotel. And Jones got it in the morning and won the race overall.
Yeah. Crazy.
You know, that's stuff that you're like, you know, sort of freaky. And then you get times where people are like, I don't want to rush it. We're not going to race this race. I go, we've had more success of putting it together, going racing, than waiting around and people monkeying with stuff and you know, on and on. So I think today's world, in probably most builders, is you put it together, you put this shock on it, you put this valving in, you put this spring on, you use this brake fluid and this, you know, we use these parts that we know are good. Yeah. And we build a good truck.
Right.
You know?
And the race is the test.
The race is the test, and the race is how it goes with, you know, how it plays out. You know?
It's a wild thing to think about because, like, Placer City, for example, like, is gnarly, right? And it's like one of those things that I've thought about a lot where, you know, that's McMillan's test loop and, you know, a few other people, Lofton, et cetera. Sure. And there's a lot of gotchas. And I've been there, you know, like I remember, it wasn't one of your trucks. It was a Jimco, and I was all excited because I'd never ridden with Juleson. So I had my gear ready to go. Juleson goes,
And he crashed it.
Yeah. Juleson goes, hey, I'm going to show these guys how to drive this truck because
I remember
they were putting around and he knew the area, but there had been some rain and there was a huge, square rut. And actually it wasn't a rut. It was like a 3-foot hole and that flipped them, and it was a brand new truck and, and that's happened multiple times. So it's like, if you can use Plaster City as your setup, then when you go to a race, you're like, yeah, there's nothing
there in Barstow.
Yeah. Barstow as well.
Mint or where you guys race the Mint at, down in Jean and Prim, there's always, it's an off-road race.
Yeah.
It could be smooth. It could be rough. It could be, Placer City is the same and Barstow's the same.
Yeah.
So you got to really be careful with what you do. But if you got a car that works here, it works really good here. It works really good here.
Yeah. No, it's really cool. I was asking you before about, kind of the race moment. But also, one of the things that happens in off-road racing is you get a big win. And everybody's like, well, everybody broke, right? Was there a point where you had stacked enough wins where you're like, okay,
I never took it for granted of winning, really. It was just like the next race is going to be different.
Yeah.
The next race is going to be different. And everybody has the same chance when we get to the starting line, So it wasn't like we got a big head and go, you know what, we got this.
Yeah.
It wasn't like we ever went to a race going, we're going to, we're going to win.
Right.
There was people that we joked around with. John Marking from Fox was very fun to deal with and to work with.
Sure.
If you know John.
Oh yeah.
Or if you knew John.
Yep.
He was the toughest, stinking, roughest, quick story. Larry Raglan. A couple people know Larry Raglan, right? So we worked on Arnold, which is the Nelson truck, in the day for him and Chad to race Parker. And Chad rolled it over and broke the steering ram. Well, I couldn't get a shaft for the steering ram, so I knew a kid that worked at Fox. I call and I go, hey, I just want to, I can't buy from the UTV guys or snowmobile guys, but can you get me a piece of shaft material or a half-inch shaft? I need it 12 inches long or something, And I hear in the background, who are you talking to? And it was John was asking this kid, who are you talking to? And he goes, Rick Geiser. And he's like, who's Rick Geiser? So John grabs the phone. He goes, what do you need? I said, I'm looking for a shock shaft for a snowmobile, or, well, that's a different department, And I'm like, okay, well, that's why, I think his name was Brandon at the time. I just need a piece of shaft, maybe just a blank shaft. And he's like, I don't know if you know this or not, but we're $1 million corporation. We don't just cut shaft for people that, we don't know or whatever, and on and on. And I said, okay, thanks, asshole. And I hung up.
Right.
And I'm like, God, that guy was rough. I'm a young kid,
Sure.
This was, probably, mid-90s, somewhere around there. And or somewhere around there, a long time ago. And a piece of shaft material showed up the next morning, next day air.
Right.
So I called back and I said, hey, thanks. And he goes, you don't, not from John. John didn't say thanks, but you don't know nothing. Okay. They sent me a piece and we're all good. So we build the truck. We build Jesse Jones a truck, and John Marking calls Geiser Brothers, says, hey, this is John at Fox. And I go, oh, hey, how you doing, John? Well, I just wanted to talk to you about, we've built big shocks for a truck. We want to see if we can get them put on a truck. I'm like, who are you? He goes, I'm John Marking. He knew it. He didn't know, but he knew. And I said, well, I don't know if you know this or not, but we're a stinking $5 company or something. And we don't just put shocks from people that call up and, and he goes, I remember the story. From that day forward, we would call each other when a Fox truck won, a Fox Geiser truck
Yeah.
would win, and go, hey, it was like a competition, who would call who to congratulate them.
That's cool.
You know, because it was sort of, we knew that it was a Fox truck, and we knew that was when Andy was winning, really. We knew it was a Geiser. We knew it was a Fox truck. It was like, hey, congratulations, man. It was a great race.
Yeah.
On and on. From that day forward, when he called, it was like free shocks and free hats and free, not really, but it was
the relationships mean everything.
Dude, it's what this whole thing is all about.
And it's interesting because he had a relationship with the McMillans way prior because he worked at Jimco.
Yep.
And Jimco built their Class 1 cars, right? So he saw Andy come all the way up, right?
Probably from a baby.
Yeah, and so then there's this moment where it's like, oh, I can put this kid, on these shocks, and like,
yeah, we're gonna be heroes.
We're gonna evolve the whole thing, and it did, and it's crazy to think about. And the thing I always, try and wave the flag for everybody in this culture, in this industry, is that led to the Raptor, right?
Oh, I believe that.
And
yeah.
Yeah. So then hearing the story of John being in and being in the pitch for Ford, and Ford's like asking him, hey, we need to shave money off this. We need to shave money off this. And he literally looks at him and he goes, you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You want to spend more money because here's what it's going to do for you. And they left the room and everybody's like, God damn it, John, you blew the deal. Yeah. You blew the deal up, right?
They're like, no, they'll call.
Yes. Then they call back and they're like, all right, we want the Fox shocks on the Raptor.
Yep.
Which
we need 100,000 sets of them.
The suspension is the thing.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Right. Yep. And luckily that
even in our world, the shocks are like a huge part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's but good people, and you're right. It's all about memories and who you know.
Yep.
And how do you know them, and what kind of people they are.
Yeah, 100%.
And I don't know in my life of any real bad guys in off-road.
Right.
There's some people that screwed up,
sure,
I believe, but there's not really any, tough guys. How about that?
I think it's too small of a culture.
It is. Oh, it's a small world.
Yeah.
It's a small world in off-road and you hear stories every day of my grandpa's brother raced the Baja 1000 in 68.
Right.
And he's got pictures. Look, here, it's on my phone, and you're like, that was racing.
Yeah.
When I first started, the first race I did was the Mint 400 in 82 or 83. I don't remember. And, of course I was in racing and motorcycles and, in high school and building Baja bugs and VW engines and crap like that. Still am. But Jeff has a 65 microbus, 23 window bus.
Right.
He's having motor problems. It ended up that me and Jeff Wyckoff, kid that works for me, we're like, just pull the motor out and bring it down here. We'll tear it apart. So we start taking it apart. Jeff's like, I'm going home. No, you're not. You're staying here. So we start taking it apart. Ended up the cam gear came loose. It ran really good, and then it just got worse and worse and worse. And, so we're like, it's bottom end, and so we put part of it back together the other night, me and Jeff.
Nice.
Really, all three of us, and we're like, man, I remember the day of doing this, and we've done some crazy crap of I have dealing with like Ray from Dugan's.
Yeah.
And he gets really, really mad because I'm like, I'll just fix it. We got the valve covers off, and he's like, do not touch anything, because he hears of the day, when I raced Class 10, we burned a valve. I think it was maybe Mint 400, maybe the Gold Coast 300
Gold Coast, yeah,
in the day. racing with a guy, had a fat motor. Of course, it's the day before, night before or something, and I'm out there with we drove back home. I got another valve, come back, I got a cordless drill, and we're like, surfacing and lapping and putting the motor back together. And, people are like, you're crazy, out in the dirt.
Right.
Or in Barstow, I remember just how we learned how to do all this is just doing it.
Yeah.
Really. Go there with a guy. I'm not racing, but we prepped their car in my backyard. Fort and tranny's popping out of gear. Well, I have a bag in my truck, I had a box truck at them days, and pulled the bag out, pulled the gearbox apart, put a new gear in it, blah, 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 and we end up winning the race.
Right.
And it was like just all the memories and the thinking time doing it, and the people you're around and stuff like that is the best, enjoyment of really memories of doing it, really.
Sure.
So, or we pitted down at the 500 for Robbie and them, and Beal and Adler, one of the Adler trucks.
Right.
And we parked on Tree Road, I call it, which is south of Trinidad. Mm-hmm. And I remember Andrew Way. Do you remember that kid? Mm-hmm. So he had a brand new Jimco. Pulled in there. They fueled him. We were right here. Same car caught on fire, burnt clear to the ground.
Oh.
Right there.
Yeah.
It's just memories of Baja.
Sure.
I've been going down there since, 80, whatever, 83, 84.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there. And people are like, do you like Baja? I go, I love Baja.
Yeah.
I love coming down here. I love the culture. I love everything. But when I cross the border, I'm like so much happier.
Yeah.
Because it's like I had enough.
Yeah.
We did our little thing.
You get to that point where you're like,
we ate our food. Yeah. I've been down there enough, and I've been down there enough.
Yeah.
And it's but we need to go race Baja.
Yeah.
The people are great.
Yeah.
The races are great. The best, the best stuff is all going on when we're there.
Yeah.
But, I don't want to go live down there.
No.
I don't want to go vacation there. I don't want to go, I'd like to go vacation some other places, but
yeah, definitely.
Rather than going there.
We were talking earlier about, how kids come up the ladder now, right?
Yeah.
And how, like we were talking about the story of Randy Anderson, sweeping the shop at Walker Evans and then becoming his crew chief, his business partner, and so on, right?
Yeah.
What's that like for you now? Like you have a handful of people working for you, actually quite a few.
Yep.
And we were talking earlier, like you have a challenge trying to find people who really want to do it.
I think it's we know a lot of people in business because of what we do.
Sure.
So I don't think it's just our business of finding people or finding the right people. I think it's in everything today. A lot of people either don't want to work or don't have the knowledge to do the work. You can't, the only way to try people is to try them and see if they can do it.
Sure.
Maybe they came from a pipe fitting or mechanics or something. We got to have it, more of an upper level, let's call it.
Sure.
And the only way to do, we have a couple younger guys, and some of them get it, and some of them don't.
Yeah.
And it's really, I say all how you're brought up. You were brought up in motorsports and in toys, and you were around it.
Yeah.
It's got to grow on you.
Yeah.
Today it's finding people that want to do it or have the desire to do it.
Right.
But there's always those that have that drive and desire that really can't do it.
Sure.
But you have the other ones that like click, and it's like, take this apart, learn about it, and you let them do stuff on tear down and clean up. And then, if they can if they can do that, then they're probably worth putting more effort into, you know?
It's just funny to see too, like both the successes and failures, because I've been around long enough to see these kids come up, right, and start by washing vehicles, scraping mud,
There's a lot of
whatever it
good
is.
kids that start that way, and then they have the passion, and they have the drive, and that's where they go. So
no, I think that's a really cool thing, and hopefully, kids that listen to this will show up with the attitude of like, hey, I'll sweep the floor, I'll wash trucks, whatever, just to start getting the knowledge base.
Yep. I think I think they're going to work for Geiser Brothers, or they're going to work for other companies, whatever it might be.
Right.
And they have a Ford Ranger, let's call it, because a lot of kids have Ford Rangers that they are easy and cheap, and they can go thrash them a little bit. Then they get a job at Geiser Brothers, and they think that they're in my world, watching and thinking. I'm like, hey, okay, we're gonna dismount these 40 tires, and they're like, okay. And then they get 10 of them done, and you're like, hey, stop on that, because number one, you're not doing a good job or quick enough. We're going to wash these chase trucks after the race. They're like, gosh. Then you hear them talking to other guys in the shop, and they're like, I want to work on that car. I want to work on that car. I want to work on that car. And they're like, you have to start down here.
Yeah.
Until you can build yourself up. And if you can't start at the bottom and do like me, I own the shop, I run the shop, I manage the shop, and I'm up on the roof working on the air conditioners.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. The cooler's not working, or the what just happened? Stinking air compressor.
Right.
I bought a new big super wowie zowie air compressor. It's a couple years old. It's outside, and I get a phone call. I'm out of town, and hey, call somebody to fix the air compressor. I'm like, I'll just fix it next week. So I get there. They're like, the air compressor runs for like, an hour, and then just shuts off.
Right.
So I go out there, and I'm working on their.
Right. You're the maintenance guy.
I'm the maintenance guy.
Right.
I'm the. But that's part of I think to make it all work, that's how it works.
Yeah.
You got people that can do, that can just weld, and they do a great job welding. They're not the guy that's fixing the air compressor and fixing before, right out of high school, I've done a bunch of different things. So I'm pretty, if I wanted to build houses, I could build houses, only because I built custom homes for a couple years.
Right.
And I built engines and I built transmissions, and I wanted to learn how to weld. So I bought a welder.
I think
it's sort of that kind of drive.
But I think that's also like this idea of understanding that you can learn and being self-taught.
Sure. Yeah.
And then you start approaching things from that perspective of like, okay, and I think that's one of the reasons why you guys became so successful is like, it wasn't like voodoo magic engine guy or voodoo magic transmission guy. It's like you guys all had knowledge of those things. Now you get to a point where like you're going to Ray because he builds a way better engine. You know what I mean? You don't want to do that part.
Yeah. And electronics.
Yeah.
And, there's people that do
James
stuff
Lynn,
for us.
Yeah.
Market Wire Fab, James,
Yep.
JLM, Dugan's, Croyer, in the day was Leon Patton.
Yep. We
use those people because they're the best.
Yeah. But to my point, like you guys had knowledge of all those things, right?
Yeah.
And I say this too, like the crazy thing to me to think about is when you look at the totality of what you have to do to go off-road racing as a builder. You're like, hey, first you need to build a car, right? And it needs to not just function as a car, but it's going to go through hell, right?
Try to kill it.
And then you're like, but that's not good enough. Now you have to put together support to get it there, support to run it, support to bring it back and prep it. You have to build this whole
infrastructure of the whole game.
It's an army, right? And because otherwise, your customer is going to look at it and he's going to go, well, I don't have any of these pieces, so therefore I'm not going to do it, right?
Yep.
So,
and we're only in the position where we are today and back in the day because of all the people around us.
Yeah.
It takes bigger than an army, and it takes people that are killing themselves and away from their families and away, that to make it all happen. So they're a big part of all of it,
Yeah, absolutely.
But it does come down to, how do we get the next generation up to speed?
Sure.
There's the families that have their kids racing,
right?
And they're good, and they're probably, but now it's come to all these people buying cars,
right?
We did talk about that. Of I want a truck. Who are you going to have work on it?
Right.
Where's it going to go?
Yeah.
What's
now
we do. How do you?
Well, to your point,
We're building. All the other builders are building so many cars. It's just like what did I just? Somebody said in Durango, Colorado, that the ski resort that turns into a huge mountain bike craziness for the summertime is not opening because they don't have people to manage it.
Yeah.
Or to operate it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's the same in off-road racing is there's a lot of good people.
Yeah.
And we're building more trucks, more vehicles and chase trucks and more elaborate and more knowledge and more electronics and more that I don't think we're keeping up with the
staff,
the market.
Yeah. No, it's definitely an inflection point because, the knowledge used to be only governed by a few people. Now it's more widespread. You can go buy a truck, but to your point, then cool, you bought the truck. Who's going to prep it for you? We're running into that issue where there's not enough people that do that well, right?
Because we want it good for them.
100%.
So are we going to back them, and we're going to try to do everything we can to help them?
Yeah.
But there's if it goes to, we build a truck and it goes to California, it's very hard for those people just to go, hey, I'm going to bring the car back for a week to have you do this to it,
right?
Or whatever it might be,
Right.
So it's like, people, like I said, aren't, we need to bring up more help in the off-road world.
Right.
And people say, oh, we can't make no money doing it or whatever. There's money if you're good.
Yeah.
There's money if you're okay.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely.
If you're reliable in the day, I remember, shops going, man, I just got all these flaky fabricators are such flakes. And then it was sheet metal guys are such flakes.
Right.
And then it was like the welders are flaky. But it really come down to good people stick to what they do.
Yeah.
And they can make decent money.
Yeah.
Are they going to get rich doing this? No.
Yeah. It's interesting though, because again, like when you look at it, and if this is what you're into, you're going to have a fantastic life.
Sure,
right.
Sure.
Because 100%. the other thing, like we were just going back to cheeseburger, right? like, I personally went on some wild adventures in Baja with him, and it was fun as shit. And it's like something that like, you're only going to do that. You're only going to know that part of Baja if you experience it that way.
Yeah.
And it's just like, a friend of mine, I decided, hey, I need to go look at what Dakar's doing in Saudi, right? Mm-hmm. Not getting paid. I'm not, sure there's somewhat of a financial investment because, you know, it's part of my business as a promoter. I want to see what they're doing. But there's nobody was like, hey, Matt, blah, blah. Robbie Pierce was racing it that year. That gave me another excuse to go see it. But, you know, I'm having a barbecue at my house and I tell one of my best friends, I'm like, I'm going, you should go with me, you know? And by the end of the night, he's nodding his head after a few beers, right?
Yeah.
And the next day he calls me, he goes,
Did I tell you we were going?
Are we really doing that? And I'm like, yeah. And in fact, I'm going to have you meet me there because I'm going to be in Spain, right? But we went and we did it. And it was a unbelievable, you know, fantastic adventure for us, you know, and had I not been into off-road racing, I mean, who in their right mind flies to Saudi Arabia, gets a rental car and just drives up the Red Sea? I
have talked about it.
Yeah.
And I have, you know, I grew up in off-road racing.
Yeah.
I grew up in racing.
Yeah.
But I've talked about and had teams that said we want to do Dakar.
Right.
And I go, well, here's how that works. It's like in my world, would be like a 3-year plan.
Yeah.
I'm going to go there 1 year. Then we're going to do more the next year.
Yeah.
And then we'll race some.
100%.
And then we'll do something.
Yeah.
And nothing ever worked out to do it. And I think I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
How about that?
I would recommend just going and looking at it. Like that's one thing to me that was really cool and really fascinating is that it really, especially going up the Red Sea side, because it felt like Baja, right?
Oh, really?
You know, without the tacos. We ate some other sketchy meat.
Yeah. Oh, you don't know where it came from?
No.
Same in Baja.
I asked
what's
him,
the difference?
I go, hey, I speak Spanish enough. Like, I know what it is, right? I asked the guys, we went to this barbecue stand thing. I go, hey, what is that? And they're like, meat.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, yeah, was it camel? Is it whatever?
Yeah,
and they're like, meat. And I looked at Archie, my friend, and I'm like, all right, this is either going to be good or bad, you know?
Yep.
But my point is that, like, you know, one thing that off-road racing has really taught me is to get off the beaten path and go look at things.
Oh,
I mean,
100%.
You know, whether it's Baja or, you know, Nevada or Arizona, we've seen some of the most beautiful places on the planet.
But not California?
California as well. No,
you don't mention California in your daily stuff, or you do?
No, I do. I think for me, California, like I've been all over it. Right. So I know it, but it's the same mentality of like, you know, okay, you can grow up in San Diego and you never go to Ocotillo.
For sure.
Right. Or you never go to Plaster City or you never go to
wherever.
Barstow or whatever, because you're driving by them. And honestly, your opinion is shaped by your point of view from the freeway. You're like, that doesn't look that great. Yeah. But then once you go in and you start getting deep, you're like, wow, this is beautiful. And that's the whole world and the whole planet, no matter where you're traveling. Sure. So as an off-roader, now when I travel, you know, I look for places that I can go off-road, right? And have that experience. But
I believe that's just in our blood.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you look at it from the freeway and you're like, we race out there.
Yeah.
But then you go out there and you're like, that mountain is the most gnarliest crap. And we go over that.
Yes.
Or we go around that. Or that dry lake bed right there, it looks really chill.
Yeah.
But at 140 or 150 miles an hour, it's gnarly. With, like you said, a jet stream coming off the back of you.
Yeah.
you know, and you're just waiting for chaos or, you know.
Yeah.
Off-road racing is waiting for something to happen. You know,
100%.
If you think about it.
100%.
It's like, what could happen?
It's a really wild thing, you know, and I'm sure you can speak to this with all your time racing where, you know, you're in this like flow state where it's like, it's beautiful, right? Cars working good, scenery's beautiful, right? And to your point, you're also kind of like waiting for something to happen. You're
waiting for that rock around the corner.
You're waiting for the explosion. And then that happens. And then you got to go into problem solving right away. Like, is it a flat? Is can I keep going?
Whatever.
You know what I mean? Do we have that piece of equipment? Like, how long is this going to take? Am I getting out or is it just my co-driver? Like, you know, and then, you know, cool. How long are we down for? Are we still in the race? You know, it's pretty wild.
No, it's for me, when I race, and I joke around with people of, did you use a kid that was just helping me was like, did you used to race? I go, I raced for 50 years and I wasn't very good at it. So I quit, and so he's like, oh, that's no good. You raced for 50 years and you weren't good at it. I go, well, I had my times, and I did really good and I had a lot of fun, but it was more of the fun part about it. People that rode with me, were like, you're not really, you say some people, and I've rode with them, some people are monsters, like they're just crazy and all over it. And, they end up tearing the wheels off it, where I was more of a chill talking. Look at that mountain. Check that out. How many times you race down the Baja right on the beach next to the water, and race people through their backyard, down there, and or half the race you can't even see where you're going because you're in the dust, But it's all the craziness that goes with it of the visuals that you see when you're out there of how gnarly it is to how what can go on, what's going to happen next. Around the next turn is really what it's, you're going 100 something miles an hour and you have a blowout on the highway. I did down on Bay of LA highway at 135 miles an hour and like crashed 5 times, but kept going, But yeah, how do you change the tire? Where do we go? What do we do? Do we have another tire? Do we have is the impact charge, is the, so it's more of the, anything can happen at any moment. And, you're probably going to be all right. So that's the best part about the excitement of off-road. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you for coming and doing this.
Yeah, no problem.
That was awesome.
It's awesome. Thanks. And, more to come from Geiser Brothers.
Good.
And all the guys at the shop doing a good job. And, glad that we can come here and do this with you guys and have a good time.
Absolutely. We'll do more.
Yeah. I'll come out again.
All right.
Sometime. Awesome. Give me a little bit and then I'll definitely be out and we'll see everybody at the races.
Awesome.
So
thanks, Rick.
Awesome. Thank you, Matt. Have a good day.
You too.